What's up, fellow nerds? Got a big mail call today, big unboxing, something I'm super excited about. Big book for me that I've wanted for a long time. This came to me from Frank, from Frank's Comics on IG. And actually, I really want to thank Frank sincerely. He gave me a great price on this book and also allowed me to do a payment plan, which I've been paying on for almost half a year. So thank you, Frank. I appreciate it. And I just wanted to share this book with anybody who's interested in watching these kinds of videos from me. So if you like this sort of thing, obviously like, subscribe, and I'll make more. This is a copy of Tales to Astonish, number 27, which is one of the most important first appearances of the Marvel Silver Age. It's the first appearance of Hank Pym. CGC recognized it as the first appearance of Antman, which technically it isn't. He doesn't wear his Antman costume. He's not referred to as Antman in this book. But it is Hank Pym. He is Antman just a few months later. So that's how CGC recognizes it. To put this book in context and why is it such an important book, it's very early in the Marvel Silver Age. It's when Stan and Jack and Stan and Steve were really still trying to figure out what they were doing and what their recipe for creating superheroes was going to be. Julius Schwartz had already figured out what they were doing over at DC. And Stan and Jack took a different take, Stan and Steve as well. So in 61, November, Fantastic Four #1 is published. That's, as everybody knows, a Stan and Jack collaboration, a different take on a superhero team. That's the first Marvel Silver Age superhero book. Just 3 months later, they published this, Tales to Astonish number 27, first appearance of Hank Pym. At this point, it's not really a superhero book. This is a sci-fi horror anthology book, and The Man in the Anthill is a story like that. It's basically a sci-fi horror story, but Hank Pym is there. He's named, and they'll revisit him in a little bit. So in May of 62, a couple months after this book, they publish Incredible Hulk #1, which is their next superhero book. But again, it's not really a superhero book. It's also sort of a horror story. And then August 62, they publish Amazing Fantasy 15, first appearance of Spider-Man. And that's a Stan and Steve Ditko collaboration as opposed to all the rest, which are Stan and Jack Kirby collaborations. And then in August of 62, they publish Journey into Mystery 83, which is the first appearance of Thor. And that's, again, Stan and Jack. And in September of 62, they revisit Antman. They now have a formula for how they're going to create superheroes, what kinds of stories they're going to tell, what kind of world they're going to set them in. And they revisit Hank Pym. And rather than create a whole new character for Antman, they give us Hank Pym, but he's already operating as a superhero. He has his costume, and we just jump right into an adventure. So when that book is published, the entire Marvel superhero universe is the Fantastic Four, the Hulk, Spider-Man, and Thor, and then Ant-Man. But when this book is published, the entire Marvel superhero universe is the Fantastic Four, and then this book. So this is a very early Silver Age Marvel book, really difficult to find. To put it in context, you know, in 63, the rest of the Marvel Universe blows up. We get Iron Man, we get the Wasp, we get Spider-Man in his own title, we get Doctor Strange, we get the Avengers, we get the X-Men. We're exploding with all the different rogues galleries for all of those superheroes. But this, being very early, just a few months after Fantastic Four #1, not published nearly in the same numbers, not collected or submitted to CGC in nearly the same numbers. So this book, in terms of how rare it is, much more difficult to find than a lot of those than any of those other first appearances. So context, this is 872 copies universal in the CGC census. There are 2 9.4s in the census, none higher than that. This book, as a 6.5, is in the top 15% of the CGC census for this book. So 85% of the copies in the census are in lower grade than this. And then in terms of numbers, this book has 50% fewer copies in the census than Journey into Mystery 83, which is the first appearance of Thor, and it's got half the copies of FF #1 in the census, 1/4 of the copies of Amazing Fantasy 15 in the census. All of those books also have more high-grade copies available in the marketplace. So there's 9.6s available, multiple 9.4s, many more than just the 2 that are available for this book. So very important book. Very, I don't know if rare is the right word with 800 in the census, but much less common than the other important books of the era. Many fewer in high grade, and one that, for those reasons, I was extremely excited to add to my collection. And again, thanks to Frank's Comics, and something that was definitely worth doing a layaway plan and doing a payment plan on, and taking a half a year to acquire. So anyway, if you like hearing my ramble about comics like this, like and subscribe, and I'll do some more videos, and take care of each other.